All right, so we're going to be working with Snapseed today. I'm just going to open the app. You're going to click in the center there to open your photo. We used this one on the Photoshop one, so we'll do the same one. In the center on the bottom, you're going to click on that Tools. In the second row, second from the end, you're going to click on Selective. Now, if you click anywhere on the screen, it's going to put a little dot. I'm going to click in the upper right corner. If you click on that and drag, you can move it anywhere on the screen you'd like. I want mine to stay in the upper right corner, so I'm just going to pull it back up. Now, if you swipe your finger to the right, it will lighten the screen. If you swipe your finger to the left, it will darken the screen. So we're going to swipe it all the way to the right. If you take two fingers and place them on the screen and pinch them, it will make the selective area smaller. So you can see I've made this very small. It's only lightening up that one corner. And if you do it very, very large, it'll lighten up more of the photo. Now, if I do it this big, you can see that my chain there is being lightened up far too much. So I'm going to do it so that it's barely hitting where that chain is. I find that typically works best for me. I'm going to click the plus sign at the bottom. When it's blue, that means when you touch, you will be putting down another editing area. So I put it there in the lower right corner. I'm going to expand until it's where I want it to be, then swipe all the way to the right. I'm going to do that in every corner. You can decide where you want to place those. Just adding. Now, if you notice, I accidentally went to the contrast. So I'm going to swipe to the left to put that back to 0 because we're not wanting to adjust that. If you swipe up and down, you can change different things. We've got structure, saturation, contrast, and brightness. We are trying to edit the brightness. So I'm going to go ahead and swipe all the way to the right again. Keep adding my filters here. Oh, and I forgot to be watching how big they are. So I'm just going to click on them and check those. Now you can only put 8 of these on the screen. So typically what I do is put 1 in each corner and then 1 on each side. And since your product in these types of photos should really be in the center of your screen, that seems to work out pretty well. And I always try to make sure I'm not making them too big where they're going to affect my little chain there. And when you're happy with how everything looks, I'm just clicking on each dot to make sure that it's done well. Okay, when you're happy with how everything looks, in the lower right corner there's a check mark. Just check on that. If you take your finger and push and hold it on the screen, it'll show you the before and the after. And I'm pretty happy with that. If you are not happy with it, on the upper right, there's a little stack of squares with an arrow pointed to the left. If you click on that, you can click undo. I don't want to undo my edit, so I'm going to click off of it. All right, now we're going to do our second step. We're going to go to Tools. On that second row again, on the far right is the Brush tool, so we're going to select that. I'm currently on the Dodge and Burn. You can also do exposure, temperature, and saturation, but I'm happy with the Dodge and Burn right now. Those arrows in the center that go up and down, you can either make it lighten the screen by pushing all the way up, or you can make it darken the screen by pushing all the way down. We're going to be doing lightening, so I'm going to push all the way up. And then this is just like on Photoshop. You're going to drag your finger around the screen to lighten things up. If you zoom in and out by pinching your fingers and spreading them apart, you get a bigger or larger editing space. So I don't want it to be too, I actually find that it's probably fine doing it this way. So just keep in mind how big that editing space is as you're dragging your finger around the screen. You don't want to accidentally lighten up your product. And again, I'm going to try and lighten up some of these shadows around the screen here. And I suggest doing this over the entire screen just in case something didn't get quite lightened up when you were doing your previous editing. And I'm going to go in a little smaller here so I can try and get some of these shadows. And again, just keep in mind how big your editing circle is, and that'll kind of show you where you're editing. But you can see I'm getting rid of some of these shadows around the piece. I don't want to necessarily get rid of all of the shadows, but I just want to make sure that when I go to make my images that my shadows aren't so different from everybody else's that it looks weird. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. We've eliminated most of those shadows. Everything should be lightened up now. Now I'm going to lower the Dodge and Burn setting to the negative. I'm going to zoom in because I'm still not happy with the way this chain looks. And I'm going to darken this area up some so that that chain pops out a little bit more. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to scroll back out. You can see that looks much better, but it's still got that yellowish tint that we experienced before. If you click that paintbrush on the lower left corner, it'll bring back up that menu. We're going to click on the saturation. I want to lower the yellow, so I want to lower the saturation. So I'm going to lower that down. I'm going to zoom in again so that I can get a smaller cursor size. I'm just going to lightly lower that saturation so it doesn't look so yellow. And I might just touch a little bit on those end pieces as well. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to click the check mark in the lower right. And there you can hold down to see your before and your after. And I'm actually very happy with that edit. I think it looks pretty good. Now, if you wanted to crop your photo, if at this point you have a rectangular photo instead of a square photo, we're going to click on Tools, Crop, and then you can adjust your crop like so. Now this one is already set on square. This little menu button in the middle that looks like a square, if you click on it, you can set what your ratios are. So if you wanted to do one of these other ratios, you could, but I want to do a square because for our giveaway photos and our shop spotlights, that's what we're going for. So if I just go like this and hit check, there we go. And then when you are completely finished with your edits, you're going to hit export, which is on the lower right side, and then save. And that is the end. We have edited our photo with Snapseed, and we will move on from here.